Alright, what's up guys? My name is Jedith, and this video is going to be a kind of quick and dirty video giving you some tips on how you can improve your damage in Mythic Plus on your HAVOC Demon Hunter with the brand new talents and the new talent trees and builds that we got in patch 10.2. These are going to be little tips and adjustments that you can make to your rotation to make sure you're getting the most damage possible. These are some things that maybe aren't so clear when you think about your rotation and how it all works together. So I'm hoping these tips can help you improve your damage and allow you to get those really big, juicy overalls at the end of your keys. So the first tip we're going to look at, and this applies to pretty much whatever build you're playing in this new season, pending that you have a fire inside and inertia. The tip is that you do not have to spend your unbound chaos right away. Because we have a fire inside, we're getting multiple charges of immolation aura. We have 2, and then we have the 30% chance to refund a charge when you use one of those charges. So oftentimes you'll be getting resets or you'll be sitting on a stack. A lot of people will sit on that charge either too long, they forget to use it, or as soon as they pop immolation aura, they'll fell rush right away. You don't have to do this because unbound chaos is a buff that you have for 12 seconds. Anytime within that 12 seconds, you can fell rush, and that fell rush will then give you inertia. So sometimes what will happen is you'll go into a pull, you'll spend your charge, you'll do your essence break combo or whatever you're doing, right? It's done. And then you have this other charge here. Now you can use it. And now you don't have to use your fell rush right away. You do not have to spend it. So you can wait until you see your blade dance is about to be up, and then you can fell rush. And now you have inertia for that blade dance that you just did. You can use your immolation auras, but you just don't want to spend them in the wrong times, if that makes sense. So don't be afraid to press immolation aura, then just make sure that somewhere in that 12-second time frame that you have unbound chaos, that you are then spending it and using that inertia buff for something impactful, like the hunt, like a blade dance or a death sweep, or an essence break combo, or, you know, Fell Barrage or a Glaive Tempest, whatever build you might be playing. So that is tip number 1. Now the next tip does use sort of the same abilities, but it's slightly different. So this tip is that if you are in AoE, if you're fighting a pack in Mythic Plus, there's like, 4 or 5 mobs, maybe even more, and you've pressed Blade Dance, you've pressed your I-Beam, you did your Essence Break combo, you don't have anything else to press, so you're standing there kind of slamming Chaos Strikes. It actually is more damage. It's worth more to actually use Fell Rush for damage than it is to press Chaos Strike in AoE. Now, of course, you want to be using your actual AoE abilities over a Fell Rush if you can, right? So if you have a Blade Dance available, obviously that takes priority. If you have Essence Break or Fell Barrage or Glaive Tempest available, those always take priority over using a Fell Rush over a Chaos Strike. If you have nothing to press and you're just kind of standing there, and the only things that you can press are either a Fell Rush or a Chaos Strike, you want to make sure that you're fell rushing. If you're doing this too much though, it can work against you, because if you use up all of your charges and you might not have a charge available to use when you get an immolation aura, you use it and then you want to spend your unbound chaos, you might not have a charge of fell rush to use if you're fell rushing too much. So again, just keep that in mind. But like I said in the first tip, you do have 12 seconds to spend that. So the way that it all kind of lines up, you shouldn't run into that problem too much. But yeah, so tip number 2 is always fell rush for damage in AoE over pressing Chaos Strike. All right, tip number 3. So tip number 3 is that you should be using Sigil of Flame in your rotation, basically on cooldown, especially in AoE. So Sigil of Flame actually does a lot of damage now. It was buffed going into this patch, and we have this talent now, Flames of Fury, where if you are putting 2 points into it, Sigil of Flame deals 70% increased damage and generates 2 additional Fury per target hit. So Sigil of Flame actually does a lot of damage. The thing about Sigil of Flame too is that it's not just the initial burst of damage, it also does an additional dot. If you look at the tooltip down at the bottom, you can see that it's doing 18,000 chaos damage up front, and then an additional 46,000 chaos damage over 8 seconds to all enemies affected by the sigil, and it's also generating fury. So this is a very, very worthwhile button to be pressing in AoE, and if you're not pressing it in AoE, you are losing damage. Now the best times to use this are of course when you're running into a pack. Say your tank has run ahead of you and he's grouping up the mobs, like for example the first pull in Galakron's Fall, the first wing of Dawn of the Infinite, when you're running down the stairs and the tank is grouping up like first couple packs and pack on the stairs. As he's hitting all those and sort of gathering them up into a big group, as you're running in, you can throw a sigil of flame, and that's going to hit them first. That's going to give you initiative. That's going to put the dot on them, and then you can start your regular rotation. You can get in there, do whatever your build needs you to do, whether that's Fell Barrage or Essence Break or whatever. And then again, you just want to be using it on cooldown. As soon as it comes up, it is a 30-second cooldown, not hasted. So every 30 seconds you get it, you want to be throwing that Sigil of Flame down, and it will do a lot of damage. So yeah, that is tip number 3. Use Sigil of Flame in AoE. Okay, tip number 4. There has been a little bit of misinformation being spread around. This misinformation is about how the 2-piece tier bonus works. Blade Dance automatically triggers Throw Glaive on your primary target for 100% damage, and each slash has a 50% chance to throw glaive an enemy for 35% damage. So the way that it works is, if you look at my bars down here, so we have 2 charges of throw glaive. If we press Blade Dance, it's going to consume one of those charges, and now we're down to 1 charge of throw glaive. So what happened there was Blade Dance used one of my charges, meaning it threw the 100% damage glaive, a regular use of throw glaive, and then each slash had a 50% chance to throw another glaive that only hits for 35% damage. So the misinformation that has been going around is that you should manually press both of your charges of throw glaive and then go in and press Blade Dance, because it still throws glaives. But what is happening there is that because you don't have a charge available of throw glaive when you press Blade Dance, it's not throwing that 100% damage glaive. All it's doing is it's giving you that chance to, that 50% chance to proc the lesser damage throw glaive on each slash. So even though you're seeing throw glaives being tossed out when you press that Blade Dance, they're not doing full damage. They're only doing 35% damage version. So what you want to be doing is, in an ideal world, always using Blade Dance when you have 2 charges, because what that's doing is it's essentially combining 2 abilities, 2 full damage abilities into 1 GCD. That's kind of insane if you think about it. You're pressing 2 abilities for the price of 1, not just time-wise, fury-wise too, because with Furious Throws, it costs 25 fury to throw that glaive, and Blade Dance costs 35 fury. So you're getting that for free, 0 fury cost, and it's being cast at the exact same time as Blade Dance. So like I said, 2 for the price of 1. If you're throwing out both your glaives first, and then you Blade Dance, you're not getting that full throw glaive, you're just getting the 35% damage versions. That tip, if I have to summarize that, it is, do not manually press throw glaive. Use Blade Dance to trigger your throw glaive charges. There are times where you can actually press it if you're like, I don't know, say this is a boss and we have to move out. We have to like move out of a swirly or something, and you're stuck out at range. You can't hit the boss. You can't reach it. You can press throw glaive. That's fine. You can press Sigil of Flame. You can throw your glaives. Perfectly fine. That is allowed. But if you can help it, you always want to be utilizing those charges by pressing Blade Dance. That is the tip. Do not manually press throw glaive unless you have to. Okay, and the final tip. This one revolves around the hunt. What you need to know about the hunt is that with our 4-piece, we actually get so many more uses of the hunt than we would without it, because throw glaive reduces the remaining cooldown of the hunt by 2 seconds. And the hunt's damage over time effect lasts 6 seconds longer. You're throwing out a lot of glaives. It reduces the cooldown on the hunt by quite a bit. So, big thing to remember here is that a lot of the hunt's damage comes from the dot, because we've extended the duration of the dot. That's the second part of this 4-set. Reduces the cooldown of the hunt by 2 seconds, and the hunt's damage over time effect lasts 6 seconds longer. That is massive. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're using the hunt, don't stress too much about getting the initial hit of the hunt inside of inertia, inside of initiative. If you can, great. Don't stress over it too much, because most of the damage is coming from the dot, and the dot is actually dynamic. It doesn't snapshot. So you can use the hunt, and then you could Fell Rush right away and get inertia, and the dot that's on the mobs will adjust to your damage modifier that you got from the inertia that was put on your character after the dot was already applied. Same thing with haste, right? If you get a haste buff after the dot's already applied, you'll see the damage on the tooltip of the dot adjust to a higher number based on the haste. The majority of the damage from the hunt is coming from the dot. There are ways that you can sort of optimize it and make sure that you're spreading the dot to as many mobs as possible. There's a big misconception that you have to actually move through the enemies to spread the dot to them, like they need to be in a line. For example, a lot of people think like, okay, I have to make sure the hunt goes all the way through these mobs to apply the dot, which just isn't true. What you can do is you can target one, cast the hunt, then when you land, just do a little shimmy. And you can see on all of the nameplates right there, the dot is rolling, it's spread to all of them. And I didn't really have to like fell rush through them or make sure my trajectory was a straight line through all of them. You just moved around a little bit and it spread the dot to all of them. And you can see just that alone, with no modifiers, there was no inertia, there was no crazy stuff there. That almost did 1 million damage. So the hunt dot is where the money is. So yeah, do what you can to make sure you're getting the most out of that dot from the hunt. Again, the dot itself is dynamic. It will adjust based on anything that happens to your character while the dot's rolling. So that's damage amps, that is extra haste, lust, whatever. So don't put too much stress on getting that initial hit inside of inertia or initiative. Again, like I said, if you can do it, great. It's fun to see the big numbers on impact. Like sometimes it'll crit for 400 or 500k, and that's great. But over the course of a key, the majority of the damage from the hunt is from the dot. So there you have it, guys. If you like this video, give it a like. If you have any other tips that you want to share with the community, feel free to comment down below. And maybe I'll make a second version of this video, and I'll share some of the tips that you guys were kind enough to share with us. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Peace.